late after the trade deadline, the Raiders just at 2 a.m. on Halloween night, the kids had already gone back.
They
They had
counted their
gotten their
candy.
candy. They had eaten it, gotten their stomach aches, and gone to bed. Um, and all of a sudden, Mark Davis, he wanted to still hand out some tricks to his employees, and so news came out essentially that uh, the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, Josh McDaniels, was fired. The GM, Dave Ziegler, was fired. Also, the offensive coordinator, Mick Lombardi, was fired. And now we're finding out that the linebacker coach, Antonio Pierce, who is the interim head coach, is benching Jimmy G. And they're going with a fourth-round rookie named Aiden O'Connell, AOC, uh,
AOC.
out of Purdue, for this week's game against the Giants. Within 24 hours, massive upheaval for the Raiders organization. First, what any sort of like jump out thoughts considering all this, Jack?
Well, jump out thoughts is really that is a cleared house. That's everyone but the defensive coordinator, right? For head coach, GM, offensive coordinator. Frankly, the defensive coordinator's got to feel pretty good that Mark Davis was there out there just checking names off, fired, and he got to stay. So that's got to feel decent.
Sure.
As much as it can, it being on the Raiders, but yeah, I mean, my biggest takeaway is not to leak too much into the next segment. This is coming up tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow. Like the day before this was the trade deadline. This was the night of the trade deadline, I believe, or the day after.
Right.
And to have, not that there's that much they could have sold, but Jimmy G, if you're gonna bench Jimmy G, I bet you pay half that salary. I bet someone would give you a sixth for Jimmy G. Someone wants a backup quarterback. 49ers run out of quarterbacks all the time. Maybe the Vikings think, hey, we let's give up a fifth. Let's give up a fifth. We can save Jimmy G. He looks bad in the Raiders because Josh McDaniels is just bad. Like someone could have bought that. Hunter Renfrow has not been being used. And obviously you have the more star players who seem to want out, like Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. Of course, maybe now they'll be happier with the entire house being cleared. But the Raiders just seem pretty far away right now. They have no coaching staff really left, and it's not like they have a wealth of picks. They have some star players there, but they're quarterbackless, and it's not like their defense is good. It's not like you're gonna have a lot of things in the Raiders don't look great, which is troubling for me also because not the one that's too long, but the Raiders just in the 2021-2022 season, this Raiders team was a playoff team. Not only they only lost to the Bengals, the AFC champion that year, and it was a one-score game. And looking at it, well, you may not remember, this was a one-score game. The Raiders had more yards this game. The Raiders outgained them on the ground, through the air, per play. Really, it wasn't penalties. It was like there was a fumble in between them. That game was an easily winnable game by the Raiders against the AFC champion, and then to have sucked the past 2 years. Like Josh McDaniels appears, and then they just suck. That was with an interim head coach. That was the year Gruden got fired, and they had an interim head coach, and they've now, through all that, and then they acquired Devontae Adams, and then they added like a top 3 receiver in the league. And then they just sucked. So I think it's a great to fire Josh McDaniels right now.
I appreciate you coming back kind of there, and I want to jump in at that point, right? You've got the John Gruden situation, which was obviously a mess, but off the bat, Davis is at fault there for giving, at that point, an ESPN analyst a 10-year head coaching contract. That's what that was, right? And you might say, oh, well, it wasn't that it was the on the field stuff that was the reason he was fired. No, it wasn't. But on the field, the Raiders didn't look good either. Okay, so right off the bat, that looked like that was already a bad decision. Now you've given McDaniels a 6-year contract. Right now, they don't even have a head coach, and they're paying 2. right? And so in that point where you had the interim head coach after Gruden was fired, they actually did sneak into the playoffs. Um, you know, there seemed to be a lot of energy in the building. You had Waller still there. Jacobs was really good. You were playing with you had acquired Devontae going into that next season, and Derek Carr and Devontae sort of were ex college teammates, so everything was sort of lining up. And now, uh, somewhere between the beginning of that season and now, we don't have Derek Carr. Um, Devontae Adams is unhappy. Uh, Last year was a complete disaster. This year's even more of a disaster. Jimmy G is at the QB position and he can't hit a wide open Devontae. I know Derek Carr has not looked good, but at least he could hit. When Devontae hits the sluggo, he's going to hit him when he's wide open. That's not what we saw Monday night, and that was the kind of the final straw. It seemed. Uh, you know, Obviously, this is McDaniel's coaching system, and he didn't get along with Derek Carr because I think he tried to bring the New England style to
Oh,
Las Vegas. That sort
ooh.
of hard nose, don't take any shit. We're just gonna, basically, it's my way or the highway.
Do your
Um,
job.
and yeah, do your job type of
Yeah.
thing. And Derek Carr, he's an emotional guy. He cries on the podium,
He's
So
a sensitive soul.
he's a sensitive soul, and so he didn't really they didn't jive, right? So he runs him out the door essentially. They didn't agree. You bring in Jimmy G, and he doesn't work. As always, this comes back on the owner. You're hiring McDaniels, who has already failed as a head coach. This is the second and a half if you count the whole Colts debacle while he was on the plane to Indianapolis. Um, and also it's not just McDaniels. This is a pattern of New England coordinators and coaches who are unable to make the jump to head coach and be successful. And so this comes back down to the person at the top as always. It always goes back up. McDaniels, his head rolled, but you can't fire the owner, unfortunately. So now they're stuck. It's a complete mess, and um, I agree that they should have
Yeah.
traded Devontae because now what is he gonna do? You
I
know?
mean, or here's what he does, and here's what Mark Davis is telling Devontae Adams right now. He's whispering in his ear, right off the books. He's saying,
Mm-hmm.
buddy, we're getting Caleb Williams for you right now. We're gonna hope and pray that the Panthers, trip themselves into winning another game or two. We are
Mm-hmm.
not winning another game. I personally have instilled this random linebackers coach. I've told him I'm gonna give him a big bonus and make him next year's DC if he can lose every single game.
You
And
you think you
that's
think
what you
it's
do. Boom.
the active
Got a
it's the
tank. Got an
it's the
active
active
tank.
tank.
I don't think that's what this is, but I think it might like I don't necessarily actually think it's that, but I think it maybe should be that. I think maybe that might be what happens, right? I think the Raiders are going to suck even more than they have probably. No, like not that. Josh McDaniels probably was actively a detriment, but like I think that's going to be an issue. I think that's going to be like this team is going to be even worse. I think potentially, and if they're even worse, well, they're going to stay around 3-4 wins. They're going to get either the top quarterback, second quarterback in the draft. That's probably why they didn't sell. That's probably why they wanted to keep Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, Hunter Renfro. I know they already got rid of Waller, but like last over the past offseason. But like that's why you say that's a half decent place for a rookie quarterback to go to. You have some half decent weapons there. You got some pretty good weapons. That's the hope. Of course, hopefully Adams is happy about that. He's aged, like he wants to compete, right? He wants to compete in his golden years here. So what I'll think of that, I don't know,
And yeah, I mean,
but
I don't know.
I think that's the idea. That's Mark Davis's idea. I think we
It,
have a great core of player. We got some good offensive weapons. Let's add in a rookie core. Like that has to be the way. That's the only way out I can think of. That's how I should say it.
I
It's the only
suppose
way out of sucking.
if you're gonna tank, this is as good of a start as any, because you can just say, well, we fired the entire coaching staff, and in theory, we thought it was because we needed a fresh start, but that was obviously a really bad decision
Some,
because we never won another game, right? So like,
somebody hire Jeff Saturday. Get Jeff Saturday on this team stat.
so someone call ESPN, get Stephen A. Smith on the line, or whatever analyst that they want to
Shannon Sharp,
Sh-
tight ends coach.
Shannon Sharp, Pat
He's
McAfee,
something.
whatever you need to do.